Hello again and welcome. This is the last video in this series, and so by the time we get to the end of this one in about 11.5 minutes, we'll be back in Goulburn, where the journey began 6, 7 videos ago. I can't remember exactly how many. The round trip is about 240 odd kilometres. I think I used I got consumption of about 22 kilometres per litre, so that's well below 5 litres per 100 kilometres. So I thought the fuel consumption was pretty good. Mind you, as I mentioned in an earlier video, I've either got to put 95 or higher in the bike in the first place, so you get better consumption, of course, but it costs a lot more money. It costs more money to fill your bike up in the first place. All right, well, we're on the Federal Highway, and I think we're about 10, 15 kilometres from Goulburn. And as I mentioned in the last video, the Federal Highway is a dual carriageway from Goulburn to Canberra. This section here is, as you can see, well marked. There's a big, broad median strip between us and the other two lanes on the other side. Well marked guardrails on the side, lane markings down the middle and markings on the edges, and the shoulders are wide and well made as well. So the road is in pretty good condition and well maintained. The speed limit is 110, and I feel that in most circumstances you can comfortably do 110. A word of warning which mostly applies to, I guess, truck drivers. You probably aren't watching this, but motorcyclists, just something to be aware of, that just before you come into the town of Collector, when you are going south from Goulburn, is the second of the two average speed cameras that are on this section of road. There's one just out of Goulburn, just after you come on the Federal Highway, and there's a second one just before Collector. Now, I'm well aware that those cameras at the moment only target truckies, truck drivers, but it's still handy to know that they're there and be aware of your speed. For those who don't know how they work, the RMS and the transport authorities have worked out the distance between the two cameras and said, if you travel at the speed limit, this is how long it should take you to get from one to the other. If you reach one well in advance of that time, then cameras take photograph of you and they automatically fine the truck drivers. There are no discussions about it. There's no pulling you over and getting a fine. They just automatically fine you. Another thing to be aware of is that you're travelling south from Goulburn towards Canberra, around Collector, just past that second gantry is a popular spot for the constabulary to hide. Now, the turnoff you just saw on the left there is where you can access the Hume Highway to go to Yass and further south. This is a merge point coming up between the Hume Highway and the Federal Highway, and it's always a bit of a bone of contention. It doesn't seem to be very well designed, and drivers often seem to be in two minds about what they should do. My view is always to get over in the left lane as quickly as you can, because you're supposed to keep left. Other people get in the right lane there for as long as they can, and then only merge into the second of the, when the two lanes go down to three, only merge then. I say it's not well marked because there are lots of trucks, or not well managed, should I say. It's well marked, but it's not well managed because there are lots of trucks that come along the Hume Highway from Yass and so on, and you're just not quite sure what they're going to do and whether you should speed up to go past them or just go over in the right lane and hopefully stay away from them. I must admit I've never had any serious incidents with trucks in that section of the road, but I know that it does cause some consternation among drivers. Now, at this point, we're about 10 kilometres from Goulburn. You're seeing various signs that indicate speed limits and things like that. I'm probably travelling according to the speedo at about 105, 110. I'm not exactly sure how accurate the speedo is. I know they're supposed to do what they say they do. But remember, this bike is a 2010 model, so I guess like all other devices, they tend to lose their accuracy after a while. As I mentioned in an earlier video, the Federal Highway is a very well-used road. You can see lots of traffic passing me heading back in the direction of Goulburn and Sydney, and at the same time you can probably see a bit of traffic going the other way as well. A turn off from where the lane merging is now is another one of those rest stops. It's named after a recipient of the Victoria Cross. Can't remember the name of the person, but this section we're going over now, the main southern railway line goes underneath the road here. It goes on from Goulburn through to Yass and then eventually to Melbourne. As we come up to the top of this hill here and around the bend, we will be coming to the Goulburn turnoff. Goulburn was, the highway used to go through Goulburn, but I think 10, 15 years ago, a bypass was built, which is about 10 kilometres long. So a lot of the traffic that used to come through Goulburn no longer does, which is good for people who live in Goulburn and who walk and talk and shop in the main streets. But for a long time, business has suffered because people, instead of stopping into Goulburn to get coffee or food or petrol or whatever, went up and just bypassed and went to the next town or went to the rest stops along the way. Now, the top of this hill will take a left turn off the highway, and we'll be coming into the Goulburn, and an area that I like to refer to as the takeaway food precinct, because you may not be able to see it in the footage at the moment, but one side of the road is the Golden Arches, and in the same section is an Oliver's cafe, a kebab restaurant, or a kebab takeaway, an Indian takeaway, and a Subway. On the other side of the road, there is a Red Rooster and Bunnings Hardware if you feel like you need a hardware fix as well. A little bit further on past the Big Merino, whose official name, by the way, is Rambo, you'll see the KFC. So we're certainly not short of takeaway food options at this end of town. I'm not recommending any of them. I'm just telling you that they're there. So you can see Bunnings coming up on the left there. There are also, on both sides of the road, one side of the road is a Woolworths service station, on the other side is a Coles service station. See the Woolies service station and the Coles one on the right there, and just in front of the Coles service station on the right there is the Big Merino, who, as I said, his official name is Rambo. Then through the roundabout, and on the right, just coming in the picture maybe, is the KFC. It's the second one we have in our town. We're lucky. And there's the big box industries on the right, BECF and a auto barn, and a couple of other places in that complex there. And then we come to Goulburn's answer to Auto Alley in Parramatta Road, where there's a Kia and Ford dealership, and across from them is Toyota, Nissan, Suzuki, and MG. On the left, a little bit further down here, is a car wash. Car washing seems to be a recreational activity. People go shopping and then they take their car and get it washed as well. This road here is called Hume Street. A little later on, it changes its name to Cowper Street. And very shortly, we'll be coming to the end of this video in a bit over a minute and a half, a bit over a minute. We're coming to the service station, the coal service station where I started this ride from. So I'll say at this point, thank you to everyone who's been watching. Thank you for anyone who's been providing feedback. If you have any suggestions or ideas about how to make any of this better, by all means, feel free to supply them. I will see you in another moto vlog. I'm not exactly sure when, because this time of the year it's getting very cold and riding season's about to come to an end, but I might see if I can squeeze another one in before winter well and truly hits and it's time to put the bike away for a while. So once again, thank you to everyone who's been watching and listening and paying attention, and I look forward to providing you with some more motorcycling vlogging at a later time. And you can see the service station coming into view now.